The security footage showed him walking toward the storage unit at 11:47 p.m. 23 seconds later, the camera captured nothing but an empty hallway. No one came out. No one went in. Marcus Webb had simply disappeared. His sister Rachel discovered the footage 3 days after filing the missing person report. The police had initially dismissed her concerns. Marcus was 32 years old, employed, and had no history of erratic behavior. Adults disappear by choice all the time, Tay told but Rachel knew her brother. He wouldn't vanish without a word. He wouldn't leave his daughter, Emma, behind. Marcus Webb worked as an inventory manager at a pharmaceutical distribution center in Trenton, New Jersey. He lived alone in a modest apartment in Hamilton Township, 20 minutes from his workplace. Every Wednesday, he drove to Rachel's house in Ewing to have dinner with her family and spend time with his 7-year-old daughter. Emma stayed with Rachel after Marcus's divorce 2 years earlier. The arrangement worked. Marcus was reliable. He never missed a Wednesday. Until Edith. When Marcus didn't show up that Wednesday evening, Rachel called him 17 times. Every call went to voicemail. She drove to his apartment. His car was in the parking lot. The lights were off. The landlord reluctantly opened the door. Everything was in place. His phone sat on the kitchen counter, battery dead. His wallet, keys, and jacket were gone. It looked like he'd stepped out for a quick errand. But Marcus never came back. The police checked hospitals, traffic cameras, and his bank accounts. No activity, no charges, no accidents. It was as if Marcus had walked out of his apartment and off the face of the earth. Rachel pushed harder. She demanded they check his workplace. That's when they found the security footage. The pharmaceutical center had cameras covering every entrance, hallway, and storage area. The footage from the night Marcus disappeared showed him arriving at the facility at 11:34 p.m. He used his key card to enter through the employee entrance. He walked through the main corridor, turned left toward the storage wing, and stopped in front of Unit 7. He pulled out a key. He unlocked the door. He stepped inside. The camera angle captured the hallway outside the unit. 23 seconds after Marcus entered, the door remained closed. No movement, no sound. But then, something changed. The time stump on the footage jumped. 11:47 p.m. became 12:09 a.m. in an instant. 22 minutes had vanished from the recording. The IT department examined the system. No technical malfunction. No evidence of tampering. The footage simply skipped forward. When the recording resumed, the hallway was empty. The door to Unit 73 stood slightly ajar. Marcus was gone. Police searched the storage unit. It was a small space, roughly 10 by 12 feet, filled with shelves of pharmaceutical supplies. Antibiotics, insulin, steroids, all accounted for. Nothing missing. Nothing disturbed. There were no other exits. No windows. No vents large enough for a person to crawl through. The unit had one door, and the camera showed no one leaving through it. Rachel couldn't accept it. She visited the facility herself. She stood in the hallway where her brother had last been seen. She opened the door to Unit 73 and stepped inside. It felt ordinary. Cold metal shelves, cardboard boxes, fluorescent lighting. She touched the walls, searching for hidden panels or loose sections. Nothing, but then she noticed something. A small symbol carved into the bottom corner of one shelf. It looked like 2 overlapping circles with a line through the center. She took a photo and left. At home, Rachel searched online for the symbol. She found it in a forum discussing corporate espionage and black market pharmaceuticals. The symbol was allegedly used by a network of distributors who smuggled high-value medications out of legitimate facilities. They called themselves according to the forum, they operated through inside contacts who provided access and cover. Rachel's heart sank. Had Marcus been involved? She didn't want to believe it. But she kept digging. She logged into Marcus's laptop using a password she knew he used for everything. She found a folder labeled Work Notes. Inside were spreadsheets, tracking inventory discrepancies. Small amounts. A few vials here. Box der. Nothing that would trigger an audit. But over 18 months, it added up. Marcus had been documenting the thefts. He wasn't part of it. He discovered it. Rachel found an email draft, dated 2 days before Marcus disappeared. It was addressed to the company's regional director. The subject line read, "Urgent evidence of internal theft." The email detailed everything. Names, dates, amounts. But it was never sent. Someone had found out. Rachel brought everything to the police. They reopened the investigation with new focus. They identified 3 employees at the distribution center with connections to known pharmaceutical black market operations. All 3 had worked the night Marcus disappeared. All 3 had access to the security system. But none of them talked. They lawyered up immediately. Without a body, without direct evidence, the case stalled. Then, 6 weeks after Marcus vanished, a package arrived at Rachel's house. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. She plugged it into her computer with trembling hands. The drive contained a video file. The footage was grainy, shot from a handheld camera. It showed the interior of storage unit 7. The timestamp read 11:51 p.m. on the night Marcus disappeared. The camera panned across the shelves, then stopped on a figure sitting on the floor in the corner. It was Marcus. His hands were bound. His mouth was taped. His eyes were wide with fear. A voice off camera spoke, "You shouldn't have looked where you didn't belong." The camera moved closer to Marcus's face. He was breathing heavily, shaking. The voice continued. "People like you think doing the right thing matters. It doesn't. Not here." The footage cut to black. Rachel screamed. She called the police immediately. They traced the package. It had been mailed from a post office in Newark, paid for with cash. No leads. The video was analyzed. No identifiable features of the person holding the camera. No background sounds. Nothing. But the video confirmed what Rachel had feared. Marcus hadn't disappeared. He'd been taken, and whoever took him wanted her to know. The investigation intensified. Federal agents joined. The 3 employees were arrested on separate charges related to pharmaceutical theft. One of them, a warehouse supervisor named Colin Driscoll, eventually agreed to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. He told them everything. Marcus had confronted Driscoll 2 nights before his disappearance. He'd shown him the spreadsheets. He'd demanded it stop. Driscoll panicked. He contacted his partners. They decided Marcus was a liability. They lured him to the facility under the pretense of discussing the situation privately. When Marcus arrived, they were waiting. They held him in the storage unit while they decided what to do. During those 22 missing minutes, they moved him through a service tunnel that connected the storage wing to an external loading dock. The tunnel wasn't on any official blueprints. It had been built decades earlier and sealed off during a renovation, but Driscoll and his partners had reopened it for their smuggling operation. They took Marcus to a warehouse in Camden. Driscoll claimed they only meant to scare him, but things escalated. Marcus fought back. There was a struggle. Driscoll wouldn't say what happened next. He only said Marcus didn't survive the night. His body was never recovered. Rachel stood in the cemetery on a cold morning in March, holding Emma's hand. There was no casket. No grave. Just a memorial stone with Marcus's name and the dates of his toy-shored life. Emma placed a drawing on the ground in front of the stone. It showed her and her father holding hands under a bright sun. Rachel looked at the small symbol she'd found in the storage unit, now etched into the corner of the memorial stone as a reminder, not of the darkness that took Marcus, but of his courage. He'd seen something wrong and refused to look away. Emma tugged Rachel's hand. "Is Daddy watching us?" Rachel knelt down and pulled her niece close. "Yes, sweetheart. He's always watching over you." The wind picked up, scattering leaves across the grass. Rachel closed her eyes and whispered a promise to her brother. She would make sure Emma knew who her father really was. Not the man who vanished, but the man who stood up. The man who chose what was right, even when it cost him everything. Marcus Webb walked into a storage unit and never came out, but his choice that night echoed louder than his silence ever could.